Welcome back to my gallery, where once again I've been wondering about stuff. Last night, whilst I was rereading one of my very favourite books, The Art of Possibility by Ben and Roz Zander, a book which I find, even if the word is somewhat overused these days, a book that I find inspirational. So worth reading again and again. If you're not familiar with Ben Zander, Benjamin is a classical music conductor and a fantastic speaker. He did a wonderful TED talk about classical music, and it's worth Googling, or maybe I'll pop it in the description. Certainly worth watching and re-watching on a serious subject, and he describes the piano technique of one buttock playing, and that should be enough to tempt you into watching the video. You won't regret it. Anyway, the book consists of 12 practices for leading basically a rich, wonderful life, and chapter 6 is about rule number 6. And fantastic it is too. But also, round about this week, that's a strange way of putting it, this week I have been, it struck me that I've written 72 chess blocks over the last year. It was quite astonishing. I was shocked to discover this. And it struck me that perhaps if I just copied and pasted them into a Google Doc, I've got the starting point for my book, my first chess book. So that's what I've been doing. And this morning, the last blog post I copied in was entitled "Man Plans, God Laughs." And that set me thinking. You may well be familiar with that phrase. It's an old Jewish proverb, Yiddish sort of expression. A lot of people have popularized it. I suppose for me and my dear late friend Mike, it was Tom Waits. He used it in a lyric of one of his songs, but many other people have used it too. And it is a lyric that speaks of hubris, the best laid plans of mice and men. And it also has a tone a little bit, and here we're harking back to the sort of Hebraic origins, because the God in question would be the Old Testament God, and he's a grumpy, at times mean-spirited, cruel, vindictive sort of chap. I'm sorry if I'm overstating the case, but there we are. I think it's a reasonable claim. And actually, if you're listening to this and thinking, but I'm really not much of a believer in God, and Neil, I don't think you are too. No, but I have reconciled myself. I certainly don't want to call myself an atheist, because it just doesn't do the subject any justice. And my wife is a very spiritual person. So I reconcile myself to the whole question of God by simply, in any sentence where the word appears, realizing that it is, if you exchange it, it is interchangeable with the word universe. Everything works out quite nicely. So if you're not a believer, just say, man plans, the universe laughs. But I don't think it rolls off the tongue quite as nicely. I think man plans, God laughs sounds a lot better. So I'm going to stick with that version. It does beg an interesting question. Man plans, God laughs is only part of the sentence, in my not so humble opinion. Because God laughs and there's a space there, a question perhaps. God laughs at you? I mean, that's the way people interpret it. But could we not fill that space with a different couple of words? Man plans and God laughs with you. And for that matter, what do you do? I mean, you could cower, if we're following that sort of Old Testament model of thinking, paradigm. You could cower, feel humiliated, depressed, resigned. Put it however you like. But if you just add an interesting couple of words, man plans and God laughs with you, and you join in, you laugh with God at the hilarity of the absurdity, the ecstatically, hilariously inevitable futility of our plans and how the universe pans out. And really, the best response is laughter. And in case you're wondering, I did leave it hanging, what is rule number 6? I'm going to mangle, I can't research it again, I read it last night and I was half asleep. I'm going to mangle the story that Ben tells. It goes something like this. These two titans of industry are sitting in an office chatting about some weighty matter. And one of the office dwellers, that titan's minions, charges in a huge state and exclaims, something terrible has happened. And before they can go any further, Titan number 1 says, don't forget rule number 6. And the face is instantly transformed, calm descends, and the employee says, of course, and walks out. And this happens a few times. And eventually Titan number 2 asks his friend, this is astonishing. They keep on coming in with their problems, and of course there's problems, this is a business. These things happen. And you just say, don't forget rule number 6. And in fact, it's written on a placard on your desk, in a prominent place. I'm more than curious. I have to know, what is rule number 6? And his friend says, it's simply this. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. Or don't take things so damn seriously. I says, okay, fair enough. I think I see what's going on here. But now I'm even more curious. If that's rule number 6, what are the other rules? And the first Titan says simply, there aren't any. And I like that story. It's just a great way of looking at things. Terrible, awe-inspiring, jaw-droppingly horrific or unsettling, disastrous even things are going to happen. Your plans are not going to unfold as you mean them to, but don't take it seriously. Have a chuckle. Rethink things. God's not laughing at you. He's laughing with you. He's giving you a gentle reminder. And if you're a little bit creative about it, you will find it a beautiful way out of your problem more times than not. And if there isn't, well, perhaps the laughter is its own cure to your problem. Now, don't get me wrong, it's easier said than done, and that's why in Ben and Roz's book, they talk about 12 practices. These are things that you have to practice. As the Dalai Lama says about meditation, when asked, how he sits with it, he says, I am at the beginning. I'm just learning, just like you. This is a lifelong mastery journey. You're never going to get to the bottom of it. But just practicing that laughter, well, that's probably no bad thing. And in fact, my wife, in her spiritual practice, they have an exercise where you're supposed to stand in front of a mirror and just make an enormous, visceral, body-contorting belly laugh, and do it for as long as possible and as loudly as possible, and do this every day. That's an interesting idea. Anyway, that's it for this week. Ha ha ha. The joke's on you right at the end, or me, or on all of us, I don't know. Make of it what you will, but have a chuckle. And and perhaps a nice comment. Laughing with me. So until next week, from a sunny Brazil,